Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Dinner, celebrating 30 years of Ner Yisrael. 1984, the year it all began. The 80s was in many ways a decade of change, defining a new age of political activism and fitting, therefore, that it was the year also that Anglo Jewry would change forever. But for some of us, of course, it will just remain the decade of fashion faux pas and big hair, which is why, Jerry and Pam, if you're going to set up a new organization in the 1980s, you've got to be prepared for the photos that are going to resurface at your 30-year anniversary celebration. Pam, hair didn't get much bigger in those days. But if you're thinking this is just a cheap joke, a laugh at some old photos to get the evening off to a good start, you'd be very wrong. For the founders of Ner, Pam's hair was an inspiration and remains a metaphor for everything they'd ever hoped to get out of the community. Think big, achieve big, do big things, and maybe, just maybe, we'll change the world. Pam and Jerry, we're laughing a little. But really, deep down, it's because we can't believe how neither of you look a day older than you did 30 years ago. And that too, of course, is a metaphor for Ner, still young at heart, with all the energy and pizzazz it had back in the 1980s, just maybe a little bit bigger. I'm still talking about Ner, right, Pam? Before I introduce the chairman this evening, we have some messages and apologies from some important people who unfortunately couldn't be here with us this evening. His Excellency, the Prime Minister, David Cameron. It is a pleasure to give my heartfelt, warmest wishes to the Ner Israel community. Jerry and I go back a long way, to our days at Eton. I remember a strange lad with a funny accent who insisted on bouncing the ball instead of running with it down to the touchline like the rest of us. I remember him showing us some photos of his illustrious ancestry, a lot of beards and hats, if I recall. An Amish family, I think. Now, I'm not sure how many Amish votes are up for grabs in a few weeks, but I'm sure Jerry and the whole of the Ner Israel Synagogue will remember everything the Conservatives have done for the Amish over the years. P.S. Where exactly is Ner Israel? Because if it's right near Israel in the West Bank, I'm not sure your new building plans are really such a good idea. Anyway, have a wonderful evening. I'll see you on the 7th of May and hopefully on the 8th. And here's a nice message from Boris Johnson. Now, you'll appreciate that Boris has a very distinct accent, and I'm not very good at impersonations, but I'll do my best. Rabbonim, Dayonim, Choshev V'Ges, the Heilige Kehillah. I wanted to machen the Shakayach from the Nasi of London to the Choshev Rav Kimchi. If nicht for the Rav, is a shail if the Yiddish Oilam in the northwest of the Medina capital would be Matzliach. I had a shaila from the Nasi of Hendon, Mark Shooter. If I could bring a teretz to the balagan of parking in the crest. Efsha, we put a große shaila of Boris bikes in the Rechov Brent, and gum came a große machem for the double parking for the Yiddish Meidler. Bekitzer, the Eibishter, please God, with the help of the Eibishter, should grant you all a chaim tovim u'l'sholom haslacha rabba u'mein, Baruch ben Yechezkel Johnson, Mayor of London. And that just leaves me to introduce our chairman for the evening. There's a sweet poetry that the man chosen to chair a 30-year celebration has only been in the UK for 30 minutes. But it is a mark of his unparalleled energy that he has the ability to achieve as much in 30 minutes as the rest of us do in 30 years. And therefore, who better to represent the energy and creativity that is Ner Yisrael? He also has an American accent, which I think helps if you're chairing a party. But first, briefly, a few messages.
When I first came from America and I walked into the show, my first impressions of the show were it was really good, and I was really looking forward to having my bar mitzvah here and many years in the future. I really liked when I was standing up on the bimah and I was leaning, and then everybody was cheering at the end, and it was a really exciting experience. Hope it all goes well, Dad.
I'm proud to be speaking in the video, but why didn't you invite me to the actual dinner? This is the proudest day of my life. My father is chairman.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your chair, Philip Pfeffer.
Diana Rebbitzin Ehrentreu, Rabbi and Rebbitzin Kimchi, Rabbi and Rebbitzin Zobin, Ner community, and friends. On behalf of the trustees, the governing body of Ner, and the committee, it is my privilege and honor to welcome you to the Dinner, celebrating 30 years and honoring Pam and Jerry Schatzkes. Taking guidance from the Gemara, Poschin B'chvod Achsanya, in the first instance we pay homage to our hosts. On behalf of all of us, I would like to thank Mr. Yisachar Matias, Dr. Edward Woyakovsky, the Hilton London Metropole, the general manager, and the staff for their help and support and generosity. Without them, this evening would not have been as wonderful as it is. And the evening is even more special in the sense that Yisachar and Renee Matyas were among the founding members of Ner. We thank very much the Matyas and Woyakovsky families. I'd like to share one short Dvar Torah, which I think captures the essence of the evening. Pirkei Avos, Perek Dalid, Mishnah Yudalid. Rabbi Yochanan Asandler Omer, Kol Knesiyah Shehi L'Shem Shamayim, Sofa L'Hit Kayim. Every assembly that is dedicated to the sake of heaven will endure. And I saw a unique interpretation of this Mishnah, and particularly the language of Shamayim that is used in the Mishnah in the writings of Rabbi Abraham Twersky. He brings a Rashi from Parshas Bereshis. Rashi explains that the word Shamayim is really a composite of two words, Eish, fire, and Mayim, water. And that Hashem created heaven for merging water and fire, two elements that are indeed polar opposites, and which in the normal course cannot coexist. By changing the word sky, rakia, to shamayim, the Torah teaches us that it is possible for even polar opposites to not only coexist, but actually to cooperate and create harmony. Rabbi Twersky brings a further passage from Tehillim, Hashamayim, shamayim lahashem, ve'aretz nasan livnei adam, that the heavens were made for Hashem, but that the earth was given to man. That is, Hashem made harmony out of fire and water, opposites in heaven, and we are to accomplish this on earth. Rabbi Twersky says that the Mishnah underscores the concept of making harmony out of diversity. Unlike so many other communities, Ner attracts diverse crowds from all walks of Orthodox Jewish life, and out of that diversity comes a beautiful harmony. That unique aspect of Ner comes from the amazing rabbinic and lay leadership that Ner has benefited from over the last 30 years. Rabbi and Rebbitzin Kimchi, your energy, your warmth, your spiritual leadership is unrivaled. Your divrei Torah and your drashos are world class. And the community you have guided is the benchmark of dynamic Torah Judaism. When we were moving to England, we had many conversations with our friends, and two themes emerged from those conversations. The first was rather straightforward: who in the world moves to England and leaves the United States? The second was much more relevant for this evening, which was, if you're going to move to England, and those who had some cognizance of the community, they said you must move to Hendon, and you must become members of Ner Yisrael. We made the right choice. Rabbi and Rebbitzin Kimchi, thank you so much for making Ner a beautiful Jewish home for us and our family, as well for everyone else in this room. Pam and Jerry Schatzkes. I recall our first conversation. It was August 2009, and we were at that moment facing quite a difficult point in our lives. A difficult point that every Ner family faces around August. How in the world am I going to secure good seats for the Yomim Noram in the main shul? We were told this was simply impossible for people who were just off the boat. But we were told that if there was any hope, if there was any chance, We could perhaps talk to a family by the name of Schatzkes, and they might be able to sort us out. After all, they were American. So we approached you, and immediately we were given wonderful seats in the main shul for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And it was in that experience really that cemented our relationship with Ner in many respects, because as we all know, the davening on Yomim Noram is simply awe-inspiring. Book early. I walked away from the experience, Jerry and Pam, thinking that, oh, how wonderful it was to have an American at the top of the hierarchy of this shul. Surely we would always be taken care of. And as we stayed longer in the community, we realized it wasn't because we were American, it was because we came through the door. Jerry and Pam, you exemplify Hachnasat Orchim, and everyone that walks into the shul feels an immediate connection because of the way that you treat them. Thank you so much. As an aside, I'm going to be a bit sad in the sense that there are very few people in Northwest London that appreciate getting a Thanksgiving invitation to our house for dinner. You're among the few, so perhaps you can always come back for Thanksgiving after you make Aliyah. And our relationship with you, Jerry and Pam, has blossomed beyond the direct relationship in the sense that so many, or some of our closest friends, are your children. And I can say honestly that we have one daughter, and that we aspire to have a son-in-law just like Jonathan Hodes. Jerry and Pam, we will miss you, and we wish you only the best of luck on your Aliyah, many years of health and happiness together with your family. A few final thank yous, I'll be rather quick. Simon, you inspire us. The amount of time and effort that you put into this dinner is simply unbelievable. Everyone in this room owes a great debt of gratitude to Simon Moore, who has made this evening. The next two people have asked me not to thank them, but I don't really care. It's one of the few benefits I get from being up here. Talia Zeisblatt, you handled every aspect from the hotel and the catering. Thank you so much. Anthony Bodenstein, you all will have seen the brochure on your table. An unbelievable brochure. Chairman, I can only assume that every charity in Northwest London will now ask you to chair their brochure. Louise and Lila, you are the glue. You are the glue that holds it all together, and without you tonight would not have been possible. Jonathan Marriott, all I can say is that the shul is lucky to have you as chairman. There are a few people who have asked to remain anonymous, who have come forward to help sponsor the evening. Their generosity is only outpaced by their humility. We thank them very much for helping make this evening a possibility for us all. Maishi from Reich Catering, you are magnificent. I feel like the numbers of this dinner was sort of like a Dayenu or a Chad Gadya. First it was 200, that'll be enough. 250, 300, 325, 350, and tonight 391. Maishi, you're the only caterer who would have handled that with the ease and grace that you did. Thank you so much. And finally, the last thank you to all of you for being here, giving of your time and of your resources. Thank you so much on behalf of the entire Ner community. And finally now, for words of Divrei Bracha, I'm going to introduce someone who frankly needs no introduction. Diane Ehrentreu, you were at the heart of starting Ner, supporting Rabbi and Rebbetzin Kimchi from the very beginning. It is my privilege and honor to call upon Diane Ehrentreu for Divrei Bracha.
Rabbi and Rebbetzin Kimchi, our chairman of this evening, my Rabbi Isai, ladies and gentlemen. I've been asked to give a bracha to Rabbi and Rebbetzin Kimchi, and of course to Jerry and Pam Schatzkes. Let me quote a Gemara. There's a Gemara in Eruvin where the Gemara says, Omer Shmuel, B'shor shetikin shloime HaMelech, Shlomo HaMelech instituted two tkonos, two special halachas. One was Erevin. Shlomo HaMelech was the one who introduced the whole concept of Eruva Chatzeros. And the second thing he instituted was Netilas Yadayim, that one eats bread, or for that matter, if one eats fruit which has liquid on it, you have to wash your hands. And Netilas Yadayim was because to maintain the sanctity of things which were Kodesh, like Truma, Kodshim, and for that they instituted Netilas Yadayim. After he had instituted these two tkonos, Yotze Basko Min HaShamayim, a heavenly voice proclaimed. What did the heavenly voice proclaim? It said the following: B'ni im chochem libecho yismach libi gam oni. My son, if you are such a great Talmid Chochem, by instituting these two things, yismach libi, my heart rejoices as well. And the Kotzker Rebbe asked a question. Two things he instituted. The first one you all know, Erev. I think most of you know what an Erev is, especially in NW11. I don't see any chokhmah in making an Erev. You put up a few poles, a few strings or ropes over the top, and you've made an Erev. Where's the chokhmah? And the Rebbeinu Shalom said, B'ni im chochem libecha. The only thing I can think of in NW11 to make an Erev was a real chokhmah. The opposition which we had in making an Erev, but Baruch Hashem, today, the Erev has become part of the community, and it's changed the whole character of Shabbos in our community. But the question is, where's the chokhmah? And the second question is, Netilas Yadayim, that you have to wash yourself before eating bread or eating something which has liquid on it. Where's the chokhmah? It's a chokhmah. And the Torah says, the Basko said, B'ni im chochem libecha. And I want to share with you an answer which the Kotzker Rebbe made. And he said the following: Eruv is a creation that will give everyone the chance to be included. Eruv really means inclusivism, to reach out, to disseminate the truth of Torah to the many who are searching for authentic traditional roots of Torah. Inclusivism. Everybody is included in the Erev. Netilas Yadayim means to separate and to protect the sanctity of Truma and things which have Kedusha. Netilas Yadayim represents exclusivism, to insulate the Torah community, to protect it from the inroads of secularism and the progressive ideas and policies which undermine the very basic of real Yiddishkeit. So you have really two tkonos which seem to clash each other. One is inclusivism, Erev, and the other is something to be exclusive, separate, insulate. To know the correct balance, how far inclusivism can go, and how far exclusivism goes, the exact balance, for that you have to be a chacham. That was the chacham of Shlomo HaMelech. Each one in its own maybe is not a chachma, but to make the two tkonos where one seems to clash the other, and to know the exact balance, how far one can go, this was chachma. And that's what he said, what's the Gemara, when the Gemara says, B'ni im chacham libecha. What I want to say is, and I salute with admiration, both Rabbi and Rebbetzin Kimchi for having led this community for 30 years with chachma. What chachma? That combination of inclusivism and at the same time protecting and insulating the inner core, the inner content of real Torah Yiddishkeit. And therefore I say, my bracha to them is very short. I wish them both that the Ribono Shalom should grant them both many years of gesund, of nachas from their children and grandchildren, and many more years in this community to continue the work of the last 30 years, lahagdil Torah ula'adira, to strengthen Torah and to beautify it. To Jerry and Pam, I also have a bracha. And for this, I want to quote to you a medrash. In the medrash says the following: there were 3 people who did certain things during their life, but if they would have known that what they did would be recorded in the Torah, they would have done a lot more. And I'll tell you who these 3 people were. The first one was Reuven, the son of Yaakov Avinu. By Reuven is written that when the brothers wanted to kill Yosef HaTzadik, he had the idea of putting him into the pit. Vayishma Reuven vayatzileu miyodam. It says Reuven had an idea, and through his idea, he saved Yosef from the hands of the Shiftei Kol. Ilu yoda Reuven, if Reuven would have known she'aTorah yichtav olav, that the Torah was going to record about him, vayatzileu miyodam al kesefoi hoyomoi lichoye etzelovit, he wouldn't have put him in the pit. He would have carried him on his shoulders back to his father. But he didn't do that because he didn't know it was going to be recorded. That's the first one. The second one is Aaron HaKohen. Aaron HaKohen, the brother of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was appointed to be the leader of Klal Yisrael. Aaron was the elder brother, so Moshe was reluctant to take it. But in the end, he took it because the Almighty told him, when Aaron will meet you, v'roacho v'somach b'liboy. Not only won't be that he won't be upset, but when he'll see you, he'll be so happy. V'somach b'liboy, in his heart, he'll rejoice that you've become the leader. Ilu yoda Aaron. If Aaron would have known that the Torah was going to record that he was going to be happy, he would have got a band, he would have got music, an orchestra to go and meet Moshe Rabbeinu. But he didn't do it because he didn't know it was going to be recorded. If it had been recorded, he would have done it. That's the second one. The third one was Boaz. Boaz, who later married Ruth, and who later was turned out to be the father of Mashiach, it says, when Ruth came to him, Vayitzba lo koli, he parched for her some grains. Ilu yota Boaz, if Boaz would have known that the Torah would write about him, Vayitzba lo koli, agolim petumois hoyo machila, he would have made for her a proper meal, fattened calves, he would have served her. But he didn't do that. Why didn't he do it? Because he didn't know it was going to be recorded. Now, this medrash is a difficult one to understand. It seems to portray these three people as publicists. They wanted publicity. They were looking and seeking for publicity. If they would have known that what they were doing is going to be exposed, there's going to be a headline in the Times, they would have done a lot more. Now, you can say this about politicians, but you can't say this about Shiftei Koh, about Reuven, about Aaron HaKohen, the Kohen Gadol, about Melech HaMoshiach. So I once heard from Rab Simcha Wasserman. Rab Simcha Wasserman was the son of Rab Elchanan Wasserman, Zecher Tzadik Livrocha. He was once here in London, and he said a most powerful pshat in this medrash. And he said the following: in our physical world, there's nothing which can be termed nitzchi, eternal. There's nothing which is permanent in the physical world. You can have twin towers, strong, existing for years, can disappear overnight. In the physical world which we're living in, nitzchi doesn't exist. Nitzchi is only in something ruchni, in something spiritual. Torah is ruchni. Torah is nitzchi. Anything which is recorded in the Torah means it's eternal. What happened will have an impact, not only at the time when it happened, but it'll have an impact on all generations ad Yemos HaMoshiach. So if it was recorded in the Torah by Yatzileu Miyodam, by Reuven, it means what Reuven did had an impact on his life, on his children, on grandchildren, future descendants, Klal Yisrael, ad Yemos HaMoshiach. If he would have known what he did is going to have such a great impact, ad Yemos HaMoshiach, it's nitzchi, he would have put in more koiches. He didn't realize. But once it was recorded in the Torah, and the Torah showed him that what you did is nitzchi, he would have put in more koiches. And the same is Aaron HaKohen and Boaz. Often we do things in life. Often we do mitzvahs in life, and we don't realize what we're doing is going to have an impact, not only on your generation, but on future generations ad hasof. In fact, the Medrash says, today, if somebody does something great, who's going to record it? There's no Torah, there's no Tanakh. So the Medrash says, it's going to be recorded by Moshiach and Eliyahu Hanavi. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu will put his signature to it. Oz nidberu yirei Hashem ish el re'eu. Vayakshev Hashem vayishma vayikosef. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will sign it. Jerry and Pam, 30 years ago, and I remember vividly when you started your minyan. Who would have thought that in 30 years' time, this little minyan which started in a very modest way, would have grown, flourished, and today become one of the main communities of the London communities and beyond. What you did was something was nitzchi. And if you would have realized, and if people would have realized what one was doing is something which is going to have an impact on generations ahead, how much more we would have put our koiches in to do it. And therefore I say to you, next to you was Moshiach, Eliyahu Novi, and the signature of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And my bracha to you is that the Ribono Shel Olam should give you in Eretz Yisrael, that you should set up a satellite of Bnei Yisrael in Eretz Yisrael. And in Mitzvah Hashem, He should bless you with good health, nachas from the kinder, from your children and grandchildren. And the Ribono Shel Olam should give you both the koyach to continue the wonderful work you did here, that you should do that work in Eretz Yisrael till the day when we'll all come to Mashiach Tzidkenu b'Yushalayim mi'akodesh b'meira b'yameinu amen.
I just wanted to say a huge mazel tov to Ner Yisrael on reaching this amazing milestone. As you know, my husband and myself and the children have been here from the very beginning. It has been a wonderful, wonderful, warm, supportive, amazing community, amazing experience for our life. And I just wish to say, Ner should go Michael El Chayel.
I worked here in 1982. The shoe changed 3 times, and the front and the back, decoration. Thank you for the people to be here in Israel. And Rabbi Kinky, Mr. Robinson, Luis is in charge, very nice lady. And forever she said, I do. Forever asking to me, I do.
Sorry that I couldn't be at the dinner, but I really wanted to just say a few words about a community that changed the life of myself and my family. In 1984, there was a group of young 30-year-olds passionate about creating something new. And we were lucky enough to find a young rabbi who had this enthusiasm, the dynamism, and wanted also to make a difference, Rabbi Alan Kimchi. On the first Shabbat that we met in the shul on the Friday night, he turned around and said to his kehillah, if all we do is turn this Beis Medrash into a Beit HaKnesses, then we will have failed. But if we turn it into a Beis Medrash of quality, of learning, of Torah, then we will have achieved success. I want to wish Mazel Tov to Jerry and Pam, 2 people who have devoted their lives to building this very, very wonderful community, and also to those trustees who were on board at the time, who helped us build something with a difference.
The very beginning was incredibly exciting, with Jerry phoning Malcolm and asking Malcolm to join. And we left another shul and we came and we joined. Jerry has been absolutely amazing, together with Pam, bringing in all new things that a shul in this area never knew. We have never met a Rav like Rabbi Kimchi. He's a great man, and really we have to appreciate what a special person he is. We wish Rabbi Kimchi and Rebbetzin Kimchi, together with Louise and all the office and everybody involved in the shul, Mazel and Hatzlacha and Bracha, and please invite me at the 60th.
Shalom lekulam miYerushalayim. It is with great pride that Mandy and I send you our heartfelt Mazel Tov on this celebratory dinner to mark 30 years of Ner Yisrael. We feel very much part of tonight's celebration, even though we cannot be there in person, and we recall with much nostalgia the very first meetings in what was then Jews College. We were a small group, much younger then, but enthusiastic men and women, with fire in our belly, willing to be part of a new exciting venture called Ner Yisrael that was to change the face of Anglo Jewry in London. We enjoyed many years being part of this vibrant community under the inspirational leadership of our dear Rav Allen and his wonderful wife Fia.
To so many of you who worked so hard for so many years behind the scene, we say thank you. But a very special one must be given to our dear Pam and Jerry, who deserve to be honored at this celebration. Jerry, from day one, you have given to Ner invaluable time, day in and day out. And if Ner is what it is today, it is partly thanks to you and your unconditional dedication to the success of the show.
We wait for your Aliyah arrival with anticipation. Champagne is in the fridge. Mazal Tov to Ner. May the shul continue to grow stronger and stronger. We miss you loads. Much love to you and Shalom.
Shalom.
Good evening, everyone, and sorry that I can't be with you tonight. As one of the founder members of Ner and its first official chairman, it is certainly with great pleasure that I now speak on its 30th anniversary. Led by our unique, very learned Rav, Alan Kimchi, who has given weekly shiurim in my home for well over 20 years, Ner has led the way in driving Jewish education and practice. All visitors are welcome to our shul, principally by Rabbi Kimchi himself, and I will always remember the kavod given to my dear father Walter, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, when, on many occasions, the Rav would come from his seat to warmly greet my father, who was sitting next to me. May Ner Yisrael continue being the shining light, kindling the way forward for us all.
After Danny coming to work with me, I teach forever, she say. No puede decir usted todo.
Pumunta ka sa tindahan at bumili ka ng hindi ka pupunta sa tindahan dahil I've been here in Israel in 10 years. I met Louis here. Is very nice lady. Mrs. Kimchi, the husband of Rabbi. I work for Gigi. Yeah, Gigi is a good friend because he teach me how to do all working here. I love Ner Israel.